It's the third episode of the Holy Hour. Gavin here, and thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. We're already doing things a little different here this episode. Donald has had to go home to Virginia, and I'm left here all alone to talk The Cure by myself. So I chose a topic for this one that he probably wouldn't care all that much for anyway. But what I wanted to do is kind of set up a quick guide for listeners. A few weeks back, my iPod erased for the 300th time or whatever. And when that happens, first thing I do is vow to never use iTunes for anything again. And then I usually make myself a very stiff drink, sit down, and then start refilling up my iPod. And that always starts with The Cure, of course. So I pile on all the albums and all the collect B-sides and all the rarities, a few live ones. And I wanted to put on this one a group of the solo Robert Smith singles that have been flying around. Not even so much singles, but just songs that have been kind of thrown out there over the last few years in particular, and realized while doing that there's a pretty good amount of them now. And even diehard Cure fans, some of them may have slipped by the radar there. So what I wanted to do is just kind of do a quick run through of some of the more notable ones, and kind of give you my 2 cents on them. And a lot of them I don't really have too much history on, just stuff that I've kind of looked up in passing. So yeah, if you're down with them, feel free to leave comments that suggest your opinions on them. Otherwise, I'll tell you if they're worth picking up. I think all of them but one I was able to find on iTunes, so you can purchase all these, and you should as a Cure fan. I think all of them are worth it. Some are definitely better than others. So yeah, let's dive right in. I'll tell you which ones are the essentials, which ones are meh, and some that you can even pass on if you're short on change and don't really care that much. But yeah, let's start off with the first one. The first few are the more current ones. There was a single put out recently. There's a Girl in the Corner. It's a cover of Twilight Sad. It's a pretty well-known indie rock band themselves, and good band. I think they've had connections with Mogwai and such, and all are kind of interlooped through citing The Cure's influences, and apparently he's a big fan of, he being Robert Smith, a big fan of Twilight Sad too. So they're putting out a new single, and he covered There's a Girl in the Corner from their last album as a B-side for it. It's like a flip 45 or just digital single. And it's awesome. I think it's really good. This is definitely one you should get if you're a Cure fan or if you're a Twilight Sad fan. And if you're both, then you'll love it even more. It's really solid. It's not overly electronic. It's kind of sounds like it could be an awesome, cool new Cure song. I believe it's just billed as Robert Smith. I don't have any credits on who played on it or not. It sounds like it could all be him. But like I said, it's not overly drum looped or anything. A lot of his solo stuff or stuff that he guest appears on tends to be electronic heavy. A lot of bleeps and bloops and drum loops and such. But this is just kind of a solid, I mean, there's a little bit of that going on for sure, but I don't know, it's just a really good song to begin with, so that helps. And he does a really good version of adding just enough Robert Smith flair to it, and still delivering a cool song all the way around. Even if you aren't a fan of that band and like The Cure, you'd probably like this song. So here's a little second of it, but I give it a total thumbs up. This one you should seek out as soon as possible.
She's not coming back. She's not coming back from this. There's a girl in the corner and she's crying for you. Gonna die for you. She's not coming back. She's not coming back from this. We're not coming back. We're not coming back again.
See, you dummy? It's good. It's awesome. Next coming up is an even more current one. This one came out just maybe month ago even. A band called Eat Static, which seems very electronic. I don't know anything about this band. Maybe they're more relevant than I know. Seems like they're probably pretty big in that scene. But they put out a single. It's on their new album. It's called In All Worlds. The album's called Dead Planet, and I believe that this version with Robert Smith is also on the album. I just got the one song, and it was good. It's definitely more, like I was saying earlier, in that electronica phase, kind of him singing over more loops and cool synths and stuff, but it works. The song itself is a little less poppy, I guess. It doesn't have like a big chorus or, kind of hooks or, it's just kind of different parts that doesn't really seem to jump out. But the more I listen to it, I'm digging it. Seem to like it a little more in each listen, and parts kind of seem more like what would be a chorus and stuff. But cool vocal take, sounds very current, so it's kind of cool to hear something super modern sounding with Robert Smith's voice over it. And so I'd say get this one. It's not essential, but it's good too, since there's pretty much Cure stuff is few and far between at this point. If you need your Robert fix, this might be one you want to pick up too, but I'd put it in the middle as far as essential ones that you have to get, but it's cool. So here's a little snippet. You decide. There you go. See what I mean? A lot of robots going on in there, but robots are cool. Alright, for the next one we got a pretty easy one. This was on a tribute album. Came out November of last year. It's a Paul McCartney tribute album, and it's the Cure, actual Cure, playing Hello Goodbye, the classic Beatles song. And they do it pretty much how you would imagine the Cure doing a Beatles song. It's a great song, and I think they add perfect Cure flair to it. They do a great job. A lot of times with a classic song like that, it's harder to cover, because if you do some really weird interpretation of it, you run the risk of kind of insulting this classic song. But at the same time, if you cover it exactly like the song, then it's just kind of boring, and what's the point? But the Cure is such a diverse band that they do a good version of it, where it sounds very Friday I'm in Love, Cure, but still keeping everything that's awesome about the Beatles song. So if you're a Beatles fan, I can't see why you would be offended by this. If you're a Cure fan, I think you'd love it. And like most people are probably a Cure and Beatles fan, so you should really enjoy it. As an extra maybe stamp of approval, James McCartney, Paul McCartney, one of his kids, plays on it. There's a cool video floating around out there too when it first came out. Should be able to track down still of them playing through it in the studio, and it's just kind of cool to see it in video form, and he's playing with them on keys and singing. So yeah, the Cure doing Hello Goodbye.
You say yes, I say no. You say stop, and I say go, go, go. Oh no. You say goodbye, and I say hello. Hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello. Hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello.
Alright, this is a full-on Robert Smith solo recording that came out in 2012 for the Frankenweenie Soundtrack, Tim Burton film. And it's the hit song Witchcraft, made famous by Frank Sinatra. Elvis sang it, Ella Fitzgerald. Tons of people have covered this over the years. And It's Robert Smith doing a very kind of loungy Robert Smith version of Witchcraft. Not a big fan of the song Witchcraft in general. I think it's always cool to hear Robert Smith just do something weird. So I'm all for it. But don't think I'd put this one at the top of my list of ones that people need to track down if you're not familiar with any of these. This might be one you save your 99 cents on. But it's cool. And like I said, there's not that much Cure material floating around out there these days. So if you want to hear something different, check it out. It's very... I liked it better when I took the perspective of thinking this is just like Robert could do this sitting on his head, basically. Like the idea... This is what he just does on a Tuesday now when he just wakes up a little, like on an early day for him, might be like 11, has some breakfast, and talks to his wife. So I'm going to the studio today. Oh no, I think I'm going to record Witchcraft, right? And then he's just down there, and it's going a little better than he thought. Robert, you coming up for dinner? And he's like, no, I think I got something here. I'm gonna keep working on Witchcraft. And then, what do you know? Tim Burton's like, I need a song, man. He's like, I got Witchcraft. And then there you go. You got a mediocre song covered by Robert Smith. But yeah, so Witchcraft.
Those fingers in my head that slide, come here to stay, that strips my conscience bare. It's witchcraft.
All right, kind of along the same lines is a song from the Almost Alice soundtrack. Another Tim Burton, I believe. It had to have been. With Johnny Depp. Didn't do very well, I don't think. I never saw it. No real reason to. But Robert Smith covers Very Good Advice, the song from the old Disney one, 1951 Disney movie, Alice in Wonderland. And pretty cool if you're familiar with the old one in that regard. It's very similar in the kind of warbly witchcraft way, but at the same time, I think this one's kind of cool because it's just kind of an old classic song in a sense. Robert seems to have a connection to those old Disney movies. He's mentioned them a few times throughout Cure history of Love Cats and stuff like that, and doing that old weird thing with Susie and the Banshees. There's a video, the promo thing floating around out there. A little hard to describe. You probably know what I'm talking about if you're familiar with it. But when he was with Susie and the Banshees, they did this whole kind of trippy video thing where it's all like Alice in Wonderland based. So yeah, it made sense he'd be on the soundtrack and do a cool song like this one. So I like this one a lot better than Witchcraft just because the song's cooler, kind of thing. It's neat, but it is sort of in that same vein. So you might not love it. I doubt it would win any new Cure fans over or anything like that. But if you love Robert Smith and especially the old song, then it's your. There you go.
Give myself very good advice, but I very seldom follow it. Will I ever learn? Will I ever learn? Will I ever learn to do the things I should?
There you go. So up next is a song called Believe. Robert Earl Slick had an album in 2003 called Zigzag, and this was the song on it that Robert did guest vocals on. This was, I feel like it's a more obscure one. When I was putting my little list together, I'd totally even forgotten about it. Pretty cool, fairly unmemorable. I'd say it's a lower tier ones of the Rush Out and Get by any means, but it's kind of just cool. Not really overly electronic and nothing too weird and not a full-on cover, so in that regards it's cool to hear Robert singing over an original song not written by him, but at the same time it's pretty cool, kind of straightforward. I don't really know anything about Robert Earl Slick or Zigzag the album, and so all I best can do is kind of just play a snippet of this song, I guess, and let you know that it's out there in the world. Again, you can find these on iTunes if you're interested. So here you go. Believe.
But the harder I try, the less I ever do. I convince myself it's true to bear me alive. And the sooner I start, the more of me is wrong. It's a kind of putting on to tear me apart. Yeah, the closer I get, the less of me there is. I remember it like this to make me forget. And the longer I stay, the more I seem to lose. It's the argument I use.
Alright, this one pairs well with that last one too. It's a little better as a song. I think I like it a little better. And it's cool because it's off of Reeves Gabrels. I'm not sure if I'm even pronouncing his name right. I've read it a billion times. It's the guy that's playing with The Cure now for the most part. He's got to at least be an honorary member. But he's been playing lead guitar. He's the guy that played with Bowie for years. Played on Wrong Number, I think was the first crossover into the Cure world. But seems like a cool guy, awesome guitarist. And I guess he put out a solo album of sorts. I haven't even heard the whole album. But he had a song called Yesterday's Gone off of one of his albums, and Robert sings on it. And it's pretty cool. It's not amazing. It's kind of like that last one where it's a cool song, and that it doesn't lean towards some specific genre so much, but just kind of a cool vibe, and cool to hear Robert singing something different. So if you haven't heard it, it's definitely worth it for the new factor of hearing something remotely new. But yeah, I'd kind of put it in the middle too. Not an essential one to buy, but pretty cool, and especially with that crossover of somebody that's involved with The Cure now, and may or may not even be an official member by this point. So here you go. Yesterday's Gone by Reeves Gabrels and Robert Smith.
I used to dream, I used to fly, I used to be your reason why. Used to be you, now it's useless to try. I used to dream, you used to fly, you used to fly. I used to dream.
Alright, moving right along. Next on our list here was one that I had totally forgotten that I even found. This is a pretty obscure one, I think. Unless you just full on go for the hunt of Robert Smith on iTunes or the internet there. And this one's called Small Hours. Johnny Boy would love this, sorry. That's the name of the tribute album. I guess I found out that it was on a John Martyn tribute album. Not familiar with John Martyn. Even did a quick search of him. He seems like one of these like late 60s, 70s guys that you'd have to know. Like, seems like he's been around forever and wrote a ton of great songs. You're like, oh, that guy. But still didn't even really recognize much of his old hits. But seems like he's a legend of sorts and pretty creditable guy. And I think he passed away recently, and they did a tribute album for him. So this is on that album. It's called Small Hours. Robert Smith solo, I believe. I don't think it's Cure. Yeah, this is definitely just Robert Smith. It's cool. It kind of seems boring on first listen, like it doesn't really go anywhere. But then a few listens in, I was kind of like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And it grew on me a lot. Doesn't sound like anything Robert would write or anything, of course, because he didn't. But at the same time, it sounds like a cover, but it's cool. And I think he did a good job with it. So give that one a listen, and don't count it out as an essential right off the bat, because I feel like this has a strong grow on you factor where it might not sound that great right away, but it's kind of like a deep cut, you know? So here you go. John Martyn song, Small Hours. All right, guys, here's the one you were waiting for. Kind of pushed this one back on the list because I didn't want to stack up all the awesome ones right off the bat, but this is an essential one. So get your pen and paper out if you're not paying attention. Wake up. Crystal Castles featuring Robert Smith, Not in Love. Probably pretty common amongst anybody that's remotely a Cure fan. It got a fair amount of press, and Crystal Castles got a pretty good name for themselves. They tend to fall in the more electronic category as far as I would consider. I'm not big on that stuff at all, really, but their album actually was really good. I feel like on the album they had a version of this. It didn't have Robert Smith, but then on the single he sang on. But so make sure you're careful with the one that you're buying or tracking down just to get Robert. But even the actual album of theirs was pretty cool. Since I'm not into that stuff that much, and it still kind of won me over. Just shows that they're a good band. So I think that helps a lot. The song itself, Not in Love, is a Platinum Blonde cover. Somehow it missed my 80s radar. It felt like vaguely familiar, but for some reason I just never really heard that song, which I think is probably more me than its obscurity. Seems like it's probably a fairly well-known song. But it was cool. With that in mind, I went into it thinking, this is an amazing song. Like, track down the original. It's pretty cool too. I kind of think this is a good example of when the cover's better than the original. Maybe just because I don't have any sentimental attachment to the 80s one, but yeah, it's awesome. It's got everything that like an old classic 80s song would have, but it sounds modern. They just took it and improved it. Great vocal take. Everything's like just going full throttle. I would say get this one as soon as possible. It's an essential. So here you go. Not in Love, Crystal Castles with Robert Smith.
I saw your picture hanging on the back of my door. Won't give you my heart. No one lives there anymore. And we were lovers. Now we can't be friends. Fascination ends. Here we go again. Oh, 'cause it's cold outside. When you're coming home, 'cause it's hot inside. Isn't I in love? I'm not in love.
So there you go. See, I really don't see how anyone could not like that song. It's a perfect one for a mix. If you're kind of dude that makes mixes too, I would recommend getting it for that, if nothing else. Great song. Not a mix if you're like trying to impress some girl that you just met or something, because it's not the most romantic song, but it's pretty badass. So yeah, get that one. That's gotta be on your list. Next up, Japanese Popstars. Don't know anything about this band, but I was able to track this down. It came out in like 2011. A song called Take Forever. Controlling Your Allegiance was the album that it's on, I believe. And Robert does a guest vocals on it. This one, it's alright. I don't feel like it's anything essential by any means. The song's just not that great. It's pretty cool. And if you love Robert and want more Robert, get it. Otherwise, you could probably let this one slide. But you be the judge. Here's a quick snippet.
Yeah, you know, tonight will end. It always does. And the end is gone forever. When the sun comes up. And yeah, say the sun will come.
So yeah, there you go. I feel kind of bad. I don't really know anything about that band or this one coming up here, so I can't really give you any backstories. I guess they're just newer bands. 50 Days of Static is the next one. Come to Me is the song that Robert sings on. I believe it came out around 2011. It's cool. Again, I feel like if you just need more Robert in your life, check it out. Otherwise, it's probably not going to make my essential picks. But at the same time, if you're a kid and you're only into 50 Days of Static, and then this is how you find out about Robert Smith, then it's the best song in the world. So, I don't know. I won't talk trash, but at the same time, I don't know. Feel free to post some comments if you feel the urge to defend these bands and feel like I'm not giving them justice. I'm just pulling the geezer card. I don't know who the hell they are. So, anyway, there you go. 50 Days of Static. Come to me. Alright, well here's a band I definitely know something about. Well, not really. But their name is Blink-182. And we all know them, right? And I'm not a fan. I never have been. I always feel like they run around like a bunch of little dickheads in their videos. But they're huge. They got a lot of hit songs. Nothing against them. I just wasn't a fan. So in 2003, they put out a self-titled album. And I was shocked as anyone to see that there's a song called All of This featuring Robert Smith on vocals. It's like, what? What are you thinking, Robert? This is going to be a disaster. And sure enough, it isn't. He pulled it off. I think it's a great song. It's pretty cool. It's kind of weird, like Blink-182 trying real hard to write a Cure type song, but that doesn't even really ruin it by any means. The vocal take that Robert does is really cool. It's got a pretty cool bass line and rhythm to it. It's a cool song. I don't know. I was surprised. I had every reason to not like it. But they won me over. I think it's a good one. It's kind of around that time, too, when they put out their The Cure, that is, solo or self-titled album. And they had that Robinson guy produce it, I guess. I always forget his name because I was so unimpressed with him. He's the dude that did, like, Korn albums and all that. But, yeah, my least favorite Cure album. It was sad. But at the same time, it has some great songs on it. And I don't even hold it against The Cure. This dude, they shouldn't have done that. And they probably regret it too now. It's got to be pretty obvious. But not a fan of new metal or anything like that. Not that Blink-182 even falls into that category, but I guess it was around that time. So, yeah, I don't know. But I'm saying I like it. So get this song, especially if you can just get the one song. That's great. Check it out. Here's a little snippet. All of This. Blink-182 and Robert Smith.
With all of this I know now, everything inside of my head. It all just goes to show how nothing I know changes me at all. Again, I wait for this to change instead, to tear the world into another night with her, but I'm always wanting you. Use me, honey, come on and use me.
Here's another surprisingly obscure one, I think. Junkie XL, who I've heard absolutely nothing else about, but might have a pretty big following. I just don't know anything about him, or him, or whoever, whatever it is. I have a feeling it's a more of an electronic artist. I kind of feel like at one point I saw some stuff where he or they did scores, like musical scores for albums, or for movies. So maybe it's something along those lines. But he did this song with Robert like 2003 again, so this is an older one. Over 10 years now. Sheesh. A song called Perfect Blue Sky. And it's really good. I like it. It's one of my favorites in this whole batch. It has kind of, maybe just because the word sky's in it, but it kind of has like that To the Sky feel, if you're familiar with that old B-side. But yeah, it just has a cool, dreamy, kind of romantic, dreamy side that you don't even hear in Cure songs, official Cure songs recently. The last few albums have been kind of sparse in that department, and I miss it, you know. And I think this is a good one. If you haven't heard this song, this is a good one to check out. I would recommend this one, Perfect Blue Sky.
Hand in hand we stand below a perfect blue sky. You and me alone again. Hand in hand we stand under the perfect blue sky, waiting for the world. It's not as if we have that long, no endless time to dream, to fall in love, to ever get to know. A few short summer days is all the sweetest life we ever lived. A fleeting glimpse before we go. A perfect blue sky. A perfect sky. A million stories left untold.
All right, here's a not obscure artist. Another, since we covered Paul McCartney earlier, I thought we should throw in a cover of a John Lennon song that The Cure did a while back now. They covered Love for Instant Karma. It was like a Save Darfur Amnesty International benefit album. But yeah, the classic John Lennon song Love. And The Cure does a great job. I believe it's Cure, full Cure. I don't have like a actual track listing in front of me. I just jotted it down. But yeah, it's good, and it's kind of like Hello Goodbye, where it's, if you imagine The Cure doing a Beatles or John Lennon song, it's pretty much exactly what you would picture, but at the same time, that's awesome that they can put their flair on it and not ruin the song or not make it like some trippy, weird, stupid thing or something, you know. They just did it justice. That's pretty much all you can ask for with a cover of a classic song. So yeah, I'd also say if you're looking for this one, I felt like online on iTunes even there's a way to get like a smaller version of this tribute benefit album, whatever it was. Make sure you find the complete one though, because I don't think the Cure one was on the shorter version one. There was some like mega version, and the Cure's in that one. So find the complete Instant Karma benefit John Lennon tribute album.
Love is real. Real is love. Love is feeling love. Love is wanting to be loved.
All right, hope your shopping cart isn't too full by this point. There's a few left, and then I'll wrap up here. This will be a shorter holy hour, since I'm kind of just giving you a price guide of things that are out there that you may or may not even know exist. So just a couple more. Paul Hartnell, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Paul Hartnell in 2007 put out a song called Please, and Robert Smith sang on this one. This one just kind of more in that vein of the Earl Slick one and stuff like that were decent songs and nothing amazing. If you love Robert Smith, get it, you know. If you're a big Paul Hartnell fan, I'd say definitely get it. If you're not a fan of either, really, I don't know why you're listening to this, but also it's not going to win you over anything. If you're making a best of Cure mix for somebody to win them over to the Cure, don't put this one on there, probably. Strange thing about this one, though, I feel like it came out 2007, but something fairly recently on Chain of Flowers, that website, which is also amazing if you haven't stumbled across that as a Cure fan. Any kind of updates on anything Cure-related, band members, tribute bands, anything remotely Cure-related, they are great at. Whoever's doing the the heavy duty work there at Chain of Flowers. I believe it's just chainofflowers.com. If you punch in like Chain of Flowers, like the Cure B-side, into Google, I'm sure it comes up. Great website though, better than the official Cure website at this point. They post all the official stuff immediately on there. So, and even if the official website posted something, Chain of Flowers would cover it. So that's the one to check out. But anyway, I heard they were putting out like a new version of this song. I thought it was something totally new. And I heard it, I was like, this sounds familiar. And realized it was like just some other remix of this song for whatever reason. So this dude's clinging to this song. I guess he got Robert to sing on something, and he's put out like 20 versions of it. A lot of these have like a ton of remixes of that version, since they tend to be more electronic heavy and stuff. So there's a lot of dance versions. And so try to just find the original single versions for all of them. And if you like it, then you can explore the billion different remixes and extended cuts and all that stuff. But yeah, so I guess there's a newer version of this one. The one I have is from like 2007 though, and it's called Please. And here's a little taste of that one. Alright, well I think we're pretty much at the end here. I wanted to leave you with one that isn't probably too much of a surprise and isn't really even a single or a guest appearance or a cover. Well, it is a cover, but it was fairly easy to find, I believe, when it came out, but I kind of forget when and what the point was or why it got released. It never officially got released, but I feel like if you dig around online, I didn't see it on iTunes, but you could probably find it pretty easy. But there is a version of The Cure covering Love Will Tear Us Apart, the classic Joy Division song, and it's labeled as Backstage at the Livid Festival. So they're kind of playing it more stripped down acoustic-y style. I just kind of picture them all sitting backstage playing it, and it sounds exactly like that, but it's awesome vocal take of a band you can tell is passionate about Joy Division and really loves the song. And I think it's great. You don't really see that crossing over of two awesome worlds in music where they cover each other very often. So if most people that are Cure fan would be, at least fairly receptive to Joy Division covers. So I think it's pretty neat and should be heard by anyone that says to love either. So check it out. Love Will Tear Us Apart, Backstage at the Livid Festival.
Routine bites hard and ambitions away. Resentment rise high, but emotions won't grow. We're changing our ways, taking different roads. Love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart again.
Alright guys, well that's all I got. I will leave you with my top 5 out of all those. If you only got about $5 to spend and you don't want to buy 13 songs or whatever it is that I went through, I'd say go with the Twilight Sad one. There's a Girl in the Corner. Go with Hello Goodbye, the Beatles cover. Go with let's see, All of This, the Blink-182 one. I know, it's crazy, but it's good. Check it out. Definitely buy Not in Love, the Crystal Castles and Robert Smith 2010 cover. And then maybe the surprise one, Junkie XL, Perfect Blue Sky. I think it's a beautiful song. Has that touching emotional side that the Cure can say like no others. So go check that one out. Those are my top 5 ones. I'll put a list of all these on the website too, in case you didn't jot down what they were while you're listening and don't feel like scrolling back. There will be a track listing in this order, so go check it out. Woo! This is is Gavin from 2021. I'm crashing the party, y'all. Yeah, just figured if I was gonna re-upload this episode, might as well update it and add a few of the oldies that for some reason I left out too. I can't remember back to what I was thinking when I started this episode. I think I just left a few of the old ones out because I didn't like them so much. But that's not a way to do it. Let's make this thorough and cover them all. So while I still got you for a few more minutes here in the end, let's just say also there was some collaborations back in the early days, as we all as Cure fans know about. Cult Hero, I'm a Cult Hero, came out in 1979. Frank the Postman was singing on it. It was a bit of a test, they would say in hindsight, that Robert formed this side project and would get his friend Simon Gallup to come play bass on it. Hopefully all this is sorted out soon. Anyway, so yeah, Simon would play this and they would see how they'd get to work together, and they got along wonderfully, it turns out. Ultimately leading to him joining The Cure back in 1980 for the first time. And another collaboration we've heard a billion times over was with Steve Severin on The Glove, right? Remember they did a whole album together called Blue Sunshine. There's an episode we did about it. Scroll back through, you'll be able to find it. I don't remember what number it was. And of course, just recently we finally talked about Hyena, the full official album Robert recorded with Susie and the Banshees. Came out in 94, so I recommend you go check out our episode where we talk about that album. But we all know about those, so let's focus on a few that maybe have slipped through the cracks for you and you're not as familiar with. First up was one I think I definitely left off. I guess I thought it was live for a long time, but it's not. It was for a Billy Corgan album. Robert Smith recorded a cover of a Bee Gees song with him. They both sing it. This came out in 2005. So a little after the self-titled album. It's a decent song, To Love Somebody. If you're going to pick a Bee Gees song, this is the one of two good ones, in my opinion. Not a big Bee Gees fan, but yeah, so this is a cool one. Even Graham Parsons covered this one back in the day, so I gotta love this one. But yeah, the song is just kind of an odd choice and a weird thing, so must have been more of a friendship. Sure, Billy, I'll help you record this Bee Gees cover, and here we go. So if that's your thing, you're gonna love it. If not, you're probably not. Failed to mention was Junior Jack, Da Hype. I don't have an actual copy of the song. I have a Warren Clark remix. But this came out in 2004. I remember hearing it and having the real one at some point, but I just never got that into it, so didn't really track it down. Here's a little snippet playing in the back of the remix one. So maybe if I had the regular one, I'd be a little more in favor of this one, but again, it's just not that great of a song in my opinion. A lot of flying again, wording, and I feel like he said that in a self-titled song, didn't he? I need to go through that era. Maybe Taking Off, Flying, something like that. He's talking about flying, or maybe one of those outtakes from the self-titled album. But anyway, Junior Jack, Da Hype. I mean, well, a song called Da Hyped. It's hard not to love, right? Not a fair complaint against the song since all I have is this weird remix. But yeah, go check that one out if you haven't. I'm sure it's out there on YouTube or elsewhere. Again, we got another one, Tweaker. Truth Is from 2004. So it was around this era. He was cranking out some collaborations. I didn't even really piece it together that most of them were from this time period. But around the time of the self-titled album, Tweaker. And this song, I did not really dig at all. We get kind of Jazzy Bob again on this one, and the oh baby thing just doesn't do it for me. So I don't know where this song came from, what Tweaker's deal is exactly, but this is one I never really further investigated the origins or what they're getting at. The chorus works a little better with the I'm telling lies or whatever. Then it just quickly goes back to the oh baby. So it's a little too witchcraft for me. But here's a little taste. See if you like it.
She said, oh baby, you're the reason why I never buy. She said, I'm telling lies again. She didn't really care. I'm telling lies again. She did it everywhere.
Alright, another weird one. This one's from Faithless. So I feel like I listened to other stuff of theirs and it didn't sound anything like this, but maybe I'm mixing them up with somebody else. But the song's called Spiders, Crocodiles, and Kryptonite. But yeah, just basically drops a lullaby into some rambling electronic song. So again, maybe I don't have the right version of this, but it's just got rap parts and shit going on, and sounds like a different vocal of lullaby from Robert, but it could be just, one of the multi-tracked ones where they're pulling out a different, since he was layering a lot for that, the whispery voices and such, or he just re-sang it over some of but the music sounds definitely like taken from the original. So I don't know, I'm not into it. We got basically just plugging lullaby into a not so great song. So why don't we just go back and listen to lullaby if we're feeling that urge. So, but again, just my opinion. So yeah, I'd probably count that as a remix more, wouldn't you? Than a collaboration or a cover or a new song. Who knows? Coming up next, we got another weird variation one. This one was called Annick Jean or Annick Jean. Jean, French-Canadian singer. So it's all sung in French. This came out in 2010, so it's getting a little later here. But it's actually just a version of the Earl Slick song Believe, which I believe we covered earlier. I didn't listen back to all the whole earlier episode. So if I didn't mention Earl Slick, that's another one you need to check out. He's a former guitarist for Bowie, and even played with John Lennon at one point. So played on Young Americans and stuff. So kind of a famous guitarist, and has a bunch of songs in his own right. And he put out an album, and Robert sang on this song called Believe back in 2003. So 7 years later, for whatever reason, this French-Canadian singer covers it in French, which is all cool. And but then it's kind of like lined up as like a duet, and I think it's the same recording of Robert singing it in English, singing part of it in English with her. maybe he re-recorded it too, but it sounded like the same thing to me. But yeah, I'm just not crazy about the song to begin with. So again, I didn't really dive too deep into this one, but it's pretty cool. I like this version probably better than just the straight up English one because it has like some cool French in it too and sounds different and makes it a little classier sounding. But yeah, the chorus is just kind of really big and cheesy, in my opinion, and just sounds really early 2000s, even though this was getting near late 2000s by this point. But so yeah, it's an odd one that I hadn't stumbled across at the time of doing the earlier part of this episode. Yeah, so at this point we'll backtrack to an older one that most Cure fans are aware of at this point, but in case this one slipped by you when you were doing your wander and gathering of the back catalog, as many of us were, Tim Pope, the film director and longtime video director for The Cure, collaborated with Robert Smith and technically The Cure, maybe, in 1985. So around the time I hit on the door, Tim Pope put out a little single, and it's a totally throwaway, goofy song called I Want to Be a Tree. But oddly, it is super catchy and kind of fun and kind of cool, dare I say. Well, definitely cool, but it is a goofy as hell song, but it's kind of cool. I'm guilty of walking around some days and out of the blue, I just start quietly singing to myself, want to be a tree, do 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 do. So if you haven't checked that one out, go check it out. It had some B-sides on there too. Elephant Song. This one doesn't really check any of the catchy, cool, or fun, guilty pleasure even boxes. It's pretty much just sounds like some crazy ass Monty Python kind of song or something. And then the third track you get from Tim Pope and Robert collaboration is just a poem, basically a crazy ass poem by Tim Pope, double crossing of the Two-Faced Fred of Two-Faced Fred. So
you see why I want to be a tree. Do, 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 do. I want to be a tree. Do, 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 do. From the very beginning of history.
just a quick note on a few live recordings that are floating out around there. I guess I kind of lost focus when I was doing the last one. I'm not really sure why I included that Joy Division cover, because it wasn't a collaboration. It wasn't a solo project thing that Robert did. But it was just a cool cover, so I guess I just wanted to include that. So just for the sake of mentioning them, they're pretty easy to find out there. Was scrounging up MP3s of, Robert playing with David Bowie at the 50th birthday celebration, doing Quicksand. It's not my favorite Bowie tune by any means, but I know a lot of people considered that a highlight of the evening. Had to have meant so much to Robert to play with Bowie on that night. That alone makes it a super sweet recording. Of course, we got Placebo. When they played with them, they did Boys Don't Cry, and they also did Without You I'm Nothing, which is a really cool Placebo song. So those are worth trying to track down. I believe there's YouTube footage of both of those out there if you want to see it as a video clip more. And of course there's that Korn thing that happened. right. We also have Sea Moon, which was one that kind of got overlooked around the time of that McCartney solo tribute thing that came out. I think it was like as part of a bonus disc of more McCartney covers or something. Where The Cure did, Hello Goodbye, but also I think it's still credited as The Cure. I don't know, I might be wrong on that, but either way, it's a cover of Sea Moon. I'm not sure if his son also played with him, so that kind of made it a collaboration when they did Hello Goodbye. Sea Moon, not one of my favorite McCartney songs, so even with Robert doing it, I'm not really totally blown away by it, but I guess it was still kind of cool, and if you're a fan, then definitely worth checking out if you hadn't heard that one. But that one kind of slipped a little more under the radar than Hello Goodbye, so good chance maybe somebody out there didn't hear this one yet. So it's out there. Go find it.
Oh, to you, soon.
That one kind of brings us up to date and towards more strange times like now. Late last year we got the collaboration, which was a breath of fresh air at the end of bleak 2020 there, where we got something new with Robert's voice on it, and it was this Gorillaz tune called Strange Times. It would kick off the Gorillaz album. And, we did a whole episode on it, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but still, I think of it as a decent, fun song. Not too mind-blowing, but it's, it's cool. It's grown on me a lot since even recording that episode. I wouldn't say it's an amazing song still, but at the same time, it has grown on me a lot, where it's kind of fun when I just put it on and, have it part of a mix. It's cool. But that live performance actually was more recent, in August 2021, depending on when you were listening to this. It was the first time, because he had done a live thing where he sung it and performed with them, but I think it was just a streaming thing. There wasn't a live audience there or anything, but that was cool. But this was for like a full-on show, and they did 2 nights Gorilla show, from what I gather, in front of a huge actual live audience. Sounded like it was like a show for the healthcare workers and for good cause and everything. So yeah, it was looked pretty rad. I just watched the clips. So it's hard to find like professionally shot clips. Maybe they're out there now, but a lot of just handheld phone clips. They're starting to get a little better on the ones I saw. But Robert definitely just nailed it, sounding as great as ever. And pretty cool to see the whole song live in action, because it's such a strange construction of a song. And yeah, pretty cool. They got a big old moon, Robert, floating behind him as he sang. But very cool. And Robert seemed in good spirits, and it was good to see him out there. He played another song at the end of the show just on guitar. It was kind of the finale, so that was cool. Strange guitar he was playing. I still haven't pinpointed what the hell that was, so it must have been one of Damon's extra guitars or something. But it was pretty cool just seeing him rocking out and having fun. So yeah, I can't imagine, with all the Simon madness, and hopefully this will all be resolved by the time anyone hears this. But a few people were speculating, because that show happened like literally a few days before all the Simon drama that popped up about him leaving the band. And a few people are out there like, I wonder if it's connected to the show, if not the fact that he collaborated. I'm sure no way he would be that bitter about a collaboration with Damon, especially because the recording had already been out for so long. But maybe something about playing this show was something they got in a bit of a discussion about. Who knows? But I can't imagine. And if that's the case, then this song definitely isn't worth losing Simon over. So I really hope that's not the case. But otherwise, it's a pretty fun time and a fun song. So glad Robert got to get out and enjoy it too, hopefully in a good, safe environment. So that's all I'll say on that. Not worth that much drama if this song is directly associated with it. The Churches song coming up next is the last new collaboration we have with Robert and the band Churches. And it came out early. When did it come out? Jeez, I don't know. This year, 2021, wherever we're at now. Early summer, I believe it was. We also did an episode on this one, so no need to really go into super detail, but just as a follow-up thoughts maybe. This one I liked from the start, and I really love now. So as far as growing on you, this is a really cool song. It's even got me to like older Churches songs or other singles of theirs. Still wouldn't say I'm a full-blown fan, but they have some really cool songs. So go back through their back catalog if this is your kind of first time giving them a real chance, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. They have some cool songs. The remixes that came out of this, that one was an actual like Robert Smith mix even, and they're kind of okay in a remixy kind of way, but I'd still stick with this single version. It's really cool. And then they've performed it live a couple times. I saw some clips. I think it was Australian TV or something, where she sang Robert's parts and stuff. But I could see him doing like what he did for Gorillaz there. If they're ever on the same bill or something, I would hope he'd be down to reprising his role there and singing it, because that would be pretty rad to see live. And just a cool song. So if you haven't heard that one or been lazy on checking it out, definitely a thumbs up there. And I think that one will definitely always make it into the top bracket of collaborations from Robert Smith and solo projects and stuff. That one will be one that people, I think, rate pretty highly. So as I think at the end of the first chunk of this episode, I was saying the ones that were necessary to check out of all the second batch that I've done here, I would definitely put the Churches one probably highest on the ranking there, and even Strange Times is cool. The live ones are fairly cool, worth checking out. Almost better just to go check out the YouTube clips of those. Tim Pope, yeah, you need to know that one if you want to do some digging in deep with The Cure. A lot of those early ones I think you could live without, just for the sake of hearing them once or twice. Might want to check them out, but yeah, a lot of the remixy stuff from around 2004 I'm not that into, but yeah, they're all here for you. Like I said earlier, we'll try to make a list of all this so you can piece together what you've heard and what you haven't. And if that's the case, you're all caught up. Thanks for joining me back in 2015 and again here in 2021. If you've been here the whole time, you deserve a prize. If not, one or the other will be great too. Thanks for hearing these out. And be sure to subscribe so you'll know when future episodes come out 6 years from now on iTunes. And you can also catch us on YouTube, and you can catch us on the Instagram at the Holy Hour Podcast, and you can look at that Facebook page too, where we'll be able to list all these out for you. And also, we can also do maybe a playlist for the YouTube. I'll try to piece together that too. That might be fun, just to have a playlist of collaborations over there. So cool, lots to check out if you haven't caught all these or any of these, and lots more on the horizon. As of now, there's 167 episodes you need to catch up on if you're starting at episode 1 here. So get to work, get listening. You can drop me an email at gavinconnor@gmail.com if all this super confused you, all this time travel has really confused you. Otherwise, Yep, 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com. That's where you're going to find Chaz's badass shirts. And I'll spare all the Patreon since this was an older episode pre-Patreon, but that exists now. So go check out patreon.com, the / the Holy Hour podcast, and you can see if you want to be part of the Patreon crew. And until then, we'll catch you next time. I'm Gavin, and talk hard.